The old Ford rumbled down Forest Road, its headlights cutting through the oppressive darkness. Emily gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white. She just wanted to be home. The meeting had run late, much later than she anticipated. Now, she was racing against the sinking feeling of dread that accompanied driving through these woods at night. The towering pines, like silent sentinels, seemed to press in on the narrow road. Each rustle of leaves sounded like footsteps. Emily chided herself for being silly. It was just the isolation playing tricks on her mind. She'd driven this road countless times. Still, she couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that clung to her like a shroud. The air grew heavy, thick with a strange energy that made her skin prickle. She turned up the radio, hoping to drown out the silence with something, anything familiar. The headlights flickered, momentarily plunging the road into darkness. Emily gasped, her heart pounding against her ribs. As she rounded a bend, her headlights illuminated a figure standing at the edge of the trees. Emily sat frozen, her breath caught in her throat. Had she really seen someone? Or was her imagination playing tricks on her? She strained to see into the shadows, but the woods remained frustratingly still. It must have been a trick of the light, she reasoned. There was no one there. Taking a deep breath, she slowly released the brake. Her foot hovered over the gas pedal, hesitant to move. She glanced nervously at the spot where she'd seen the figure. The image of the woman in white flashed in her mind, her expression unreadable, her presence unsettling. Emily shook her head, trying to dislodge the image. With a renewed sense of urgency, she pressed down on the gas and sped off. Emily slammed on the brakes again, the car swerving dangerously. She narrowly avoided hitting the figure, who remained eerily still, her feet planted firmly on the asphalt. The car screeched to a halt, the sudden stop sending a jolt through Emily's body. She stared at the woman, her mind reeling. But just as suddenly as she'd appeared, the woman vanished. Again. Emily's heart hammered in her chest. This was no trick of the light. This was something else, something unexplainable, impossible. Terror, cold and sharp, pierced through her fear. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers trembling so violently that she could barely dial. She needed to call for help to get out of this nightmare, but even as she dialed, a part of her knew it was futile. What could anyone do? What could she even say? The phone pressed against her ear felt cold. Alien. The ringing tone sounded distant, muffled, as if coming from another world. The voice echoed inside Emily's head, a low, chilling whisper that seemed to seep into her very being. "Stop running," it said. "You need to follow me." The words were not spoken aloud, yet they reverberated through her, clear as a bell. Emily recoiled from the window, her entire body trembling. This wasn't happening. It couldn't be. The woman's face remained pressed against the glass, her eyes boring into Emily. "Don't be afraid," the voice whispered, its tone strangely soothing, at odds with the terrifying situation. "I won't hurt you, but you need to come with me. Now!" Emily's mind screamed, urging her to run, to escape the impossible horror that was unfolding before her very eyes. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, Emily broke free from the ghostly woman's spell. She slammed the car into reverse, tires screeching against the asphalt as she backed away. The woman remained rooted in place, her form growing fainter as Emily put distance between them. But her eyes, filled with a haunting sadness, followed Emily's every move. Emily threw the car into drive, ignoring the grinding gears, and sped off. The dark forest seemed to close in around her, the trees reaching out with skeletal branches as if trying to grab her. She didn't dare slow down, didn't dare look back. The image of the woman in white, her face a mask of sorrow, was seared into her mind. The ghostly whisper, "You need to follow me," echoed in her ears. Finally, the familiar outline of the town came into view, streetlights cutting through the oppressive darkness like beacons of hope. She had escaped, for now. Reaching her house, she fumbled with her keys, her hands shaking so badly she could barely get the door open. Emily whirled around, her eyes wide with fear, but the room was empty. Had she imagined it? Was the terror she had experienced on that desolate road bleeding into her reality? She told herself it had to be stress, exhaustion playing tricks on her mind. There was no woman in white, no ghostly whispers. It was all in her head. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. The chilling encounter on Forest Road, the impossible whispers, the woman's haunting eyes. It all felt too real to be dismissed as mere figments of her imagination. She was left with a disquieting sense of unease, a feeling that she was not alone, not really, that something from those dark woods had followed her home. She spent a restless night tossing and turning, haunted by fleeting images of the woman in white. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves against her window sent shivers down her spine.